I was going to wait for the Penguin to finish before giving a review of the season, but every night I stream, I'm asked if I'm watching it and what my thoughts are, and I decided, you know what? Time to just throw the meat on the table. I'll let you have a little peek into my noggin here with my perspective on the Penguin. I think it's the best show of the year. I think it absolutely slaps. I watch it every Sunday right when it drops, and I am scratching at my neck before I get my fix. I am loving the show. There's only a couple episodes left, and I'm pretty confident that they're not going to fumble it. Now that I say that, I've probably put some evil out there in the world, and it's going to absolutely suck major asshole in the last couple episodes, but if that happens, I'll look like a real fool. I'll look like an absolute clown, but I really think that it's going to stick the landing. I said it. Hey, let the cards fall where they may now. I think the show has just been such a surprise. I didn't have high hopes for it. It wasn't even on my radar until I saw Colin Farrell talking about how miserable it was to get in a costume for the Penguin. And then I started watching it, and I was hooked right away. Colin Farrell as the Penguin, if he doesn't win an award for this performance, then the whole system is truly fucking rigged. I think he has done such a great job. This is the only character in any series this year that has actually made me audibly giggle. Like, he walks the perfect line of being like, really comedic at times and super serious at times. And even when he's being comedic, it's being serious. It's not like he's going up there with like a stand-up routine like, hey, what's the deal with salt shakers or something. He is just so naturally entertaining in this role. I couldn't help but laugh at some of the shit that he was saying in the most tense situations. I absolutely love him in this role, and it's a damn shame that I don't think he will ever come back as the Penguin, because the way he describes the makeup process makes it sound like a fucking saw trap. But damn, what a great season we're getting out of him for it. Like, the star that burns brightest burns out quickest, I guess. This shit is extraordinary. The writing on the show, I think, is so good. I went into this expecting some kind of like normal superhero cape shit type thing where it wasn't really going to be all that serious and it was going to be pretty generic. It's so far from that. This is not a superhero show at all. Yes, it's set in the Batman universe, but this is much more of like a mafia crime style show. It's all about the Penguin conniving, scrapping from the bottom to get to the top, doing anything necessary, lying to people, manipulating people, killing people, and making a friend along the way that he kind of corrupts to his side and becomes like the father figure of. His name is Victor. Victor is a great character. Like, Colin Farrell is by far the best part of the show, but it's not like he's putting the show on his back. It's not like it's entirely on his shoulders for this show being good. Everyone around him is really good too, like Victor, like Sophia Falcone. Sophia Falcone is extremely good too. Oz got her with the classic Schmeckledorf, where in order to go from just a driver in the Falcone family, he may have snitched on Sophia and embellished a couple of details about her to Carmine, which had her locked up in Arkham for a decade, where she was tortured and just broken. And now she's out, and she's looking for revenge, she's looking for power, and she is so good. I just think the entire world they're building here really has brought Gotham even more life. To see like the underbelly of Gotham, to see the drug trade, to see all of the crime families, I can't glaze it enough, to be honest. There's not enough cum in my sack to glaze it. Like, it's so surprisingly good, because I went in with no expectations and I've been blown away. I really hope that I'm not proven wrong about it sticking the landing, because it has set up so many great pieces that I feel like it's a fucking layup at this point. Every episode keeps one-upping itself. Like, I think it is only getting better. There hasn't really been a moment where I was like, oh, it's starting to fall off a little bit. Ooh, there's some cracks here. It hasn't. It's been so fucking tight. This shit is tighter than my pussy, and it is staying that way. It is not floundering. It's not going in weird directions. The only thing that I was a little skeptical of was the most recent episode had a pretty significant time jump. I'm not talking like years or anything. This isn't going to be like the post-time skip arc for the Penguin. Like, he's not going to come out here with a devil fruit power or anything. But it starts with him, well, the episode prior ends with him having the start of something, a little bit of something. And then this episode picks up with him now having a lot of something and a lot more of things, without getting into spoilers. And he kind of fills you in with how they got there, but the show just been like a grind. Like, you're seeing him grind, and now all of a sudden a lot of time passes, and I guess things just were kind of smooth sailing. So that was a little abrupt, but it's not a big deal. Like, it's not even a complaint because I like where it goes right after that. It immediately picks up with the most intense it's ever been. Now with, I don't want to get into spoilers, but it's getting even more extreme. And I just really think that they've done a great job with having the main character be the bad guy. You know he's a villain, you know he's evil, but you can't help but root for him sometimes. This is a guy that started from the bottom. He was dealt a terrible hand in life. You see his mother is struggling with an illness that's taking away her mind. It's literally rotting her. And Oswald's doing everything he can to provide for her, to keep her safe, to keep her alive. And he gives these speeches to like the crime families about what he fights for. And it's, you know, the elite in Gotham are doing so much corrupt, shady shit. Like at one point they are literally stealing the power from Crown Point to power their fucking mansions and City Hall and shit. So the people in Crown Point are suffering. They have no heat. They have no food, no water, nothing. So like, yes, Oswald is definitely a bad guy. Like the murder, big thumbs down. Like you don't really like murder, but I mean, how do you not like at least understand how a character gets to this point? That's the sign of good writing, where you can kind of see where the villain is coming from. Now, of course, he's not a good guy. He's no fucking saint or anything. Nobody in the show is. I hate to keep comparing everything to Warhammer, but it's very much like Warhammer 40k, where everything's just grimdark. Like, there are no heroes, it's only villains, and only them doing things that are sensible, albeit morally wrong. Like, Oswald obviously wants power, but with the power comes him wanting to help his mother, help the people around him, and kind of like uplift like the ones that matter to him to a certain degree. Sophia Falcone, her whole family just fucking threw her to the wolves to be tortured in Arkham, knowing full well she did nothing wrong. And like, you can see where these characters are coming from. They're not good guys, but they're not like cartoonishly evil, mustache twirling villains. And I can always appreciate that because that is a hard thing to do. And the show just does it so well. Now, I don't want anyone to go into this show under the wrong impression. This is not like a high-octane action show. You're not going to be getting a ton of scenes with like heavy chugging power chords while guns are blaring, titties flopping, and blood spraying. It's not that kind of show. There is action in it, you know, gunfights that happen from time to time, but that's probably the smallest part of it. It's not a slow show. By no means is this show a slow burn at all, really. In fact, things move along a lot and it stays very tense. It's just not really an action-oriented show. And when there is action there, it's good, but it's nothing like crazy. It's nothing you haven't seen before. It's normal firefights. Don't expect the Penguin to be doing like John Wick maneuvers, because he's not going to be doing that. He's going to sit there like a fucking turret, just blasting everyone fearlessly. And he does it really well. And there is some moments of like some gore that happens, like a character getting shot in the neck and then pissing blood out of it and all of that. But it's not the focal point of the show. The show is really at its best when you're watching Oswald Cobb get into a very sticky situation with a ton of his lies that are starting to collapse around him, and them starting to figure out, oh, this guy's a fucking weasel and we'd be better off killing him. And they have him in what appears to be a checkmate position, and you have to wonder how the fuck is Oz going to get out of this? And somehow he's been finding ways that don't feel like just ass pulls or anything. They feel so logical. The way he's able to use people is incredible. Like, it's all very sensible. Like, nothing feels unearned or like you have to suspend disbelief. It all feels like, oh, like he's making a good point. I can see why they wouldn't just put a bullet between his eyes. Like, I can see why people would get into bed with Oz after what he was just saying. And it keeps him alive, and he keeps slowly but surely gaining power, gaining favor, getting a lot under his belt as he's working in the shadows, doing the dirty work. It's just so good. I really do think The Penguin is the best show on TV right now. For me, it's my favorite show of the year so far. I really hope I don't look like an absolute fucking buffoon when the season finale airs in a couple weeks and it's trash. That would be awful. That would truly be a shame. But for now, love the show. I do highly recommend it. I think it slaps. That's about it. See ya.